Reacher Season 4 has been building toward one object since Episode 1, a USB drive tied directly to Anna Merrick's death. And now that Reacher's finally got his hands on it, people have been kidnapped, tortured, and killed this entire season over a USB drive. When Reacher finally opens it, there's just one photo inside. Let's get into what's on it and what I think it actually means. This video contains spoilers. Anna's death was the spark for this whole season, and it becomes pretty clear early on that basically every faction circling this conspiracy wants that same drive. Reacher's ally Tamara breaks into the State Department facility where Anna used to work, digitizing old paper records and destroying the originals once they were scanned. On Anna's computer, Tamara finds she'd scanned one very specific set of documents right before she died, downloaded them onto a USB drive, and then wiped both the physical and digital copies completely. It takes the team a while to work out where she actually sent it, but they eventually land on the answer. She mailed it to herself. By Episode 5, Reacher and his crew finally get the drive in hand. I think it's a nice bit of tradecraft on Anna's part. Honestly, mailing something to yourself is such a low-tech, almost old-fashioned way to hide evidence, but it tracks with someone who spent her career quietly digitizing government paperwork. She knew exactly how to disappear a document. And even once they've got it, I don't think the mystery gets any easier. If anything, it gets weirder. The drive doesn't contain files or documents, just a single photograph. Reacher immediately recognizes everyone in it: Congressman Sampson, General Putra, and Cahill. On its own, that's already a bad look for Sampson, since Putra's been established as a brutal dictator with a long list of atrocities tied to his name in Indonesia. But Reacher's stuck on something. Why would a fairly ordinary photo of Sampson standing next to Putra be worth this much bloodshed? I guess that's the real puzzle here, right? Lila and Amisha have gone to genuinely extreme lengths for this drive, kidnapping and killing Anna's own son just to force her hand. A photo that's merely embarrassing wouldn't justify that kind of violence. There has to be something else buried in that image that we're not seeing yet. When Reacher calls Sampson about the photo, he doesn't seem rattled at all. Almost like he already knew the picture alone couldn't really hurt him. He defends himself by saying he had nothing to do with Putra's crimes, just that he happened to be photographed near him. That calmness is honestly the most suspicious part of the whole call. If you ask me, a man who's supposedly innocent usually panics a little when a damaging photo surfaces. Sampson barely blinks, which tells me he's confident the photo by itself can't touch him. That's not the reaction of someone who's actually clean. Here's where things get interesting. Reacher spots a fourth person in the photo, standing off in the background, and crops the image to send specifically to Sampson for identification. Sampson claims the man isn't Delta Force, probably just a scientist doing malaria research, which fits given the guy's wearing a lab coat. He's quick to add that any of the scientists' work in Indonesia was Cahill's responsibility, not his. But the moment Reacher pushes and asks why Sampson was even in the same room as this scientist in the first place, Sampson panics and hangs up. That hang-up is the real tell for me. Everything before it sounds rehearsed, smooth, deflecting, pointing blame at Cahill, but the second Reacher asks a question Sampson clearly wasn't prepared for, the composure completely falls apart. I think that's exactly the kind of reaction that tells you someone's hiding something they haven't figured out how to explain away yet. Putting it together, Putra, Sampson, Cahill, and this unnamed scientist all connected under the cover of malaria research in Indonesia. I think it's very possible that research was actually a front for some kind of unethical human experimentation program, with Lila and Amisha possibly being two of the people who were subjected to it. That would explain so much about their motivation, honestly. This isn't just political revenge for them. I think it might be deeply personal, tied to something that was done to their own bodies. If that's true, it reframes Lila and Amisha less as pure villains and more as people seeking accountability for something genuinely horrific, even if their methods have been brutal. I'm intrigued to see how much of this theory holds up as the season keeps going. I thought this was one of the more effective slow-burn reveals the show's done. A single photograph that raises way more questions than it answers, with Sampson's own reactions doing most of the work in confirming something's rotten underneath the surface. The fourth man in the lab coat feels like the actual key to this whole mystery, and I don't think it's a coincidence the show is dangling him right as Sampson's composure cracks. So that's what's actually on the USB drive in Reacher Season 4, for now anyway. If you're following this theory as closely as I am, drop a like and subscribe for the rest of the season. What do you think that photo's really hiding? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.